Here is your March 2025 state compliance update. Hey, I'm Morgan Davis. I'm a health and wellness attorney in Raleigh, North Carolina. Let's talk about how to keep your business protected and thriving. One of the biggest needs in the cannabis industry is an ongoing understanding of all the changes that happen on a state-by-state basis. We have 50 states in the U.S., and all of them seem to have a different take on cannabis and hemp. That's really difficult for any business to keep up with, even if you have a couple of people or 10 or 15 people. Unless you've got your whole own regulatory compliance team, it's difficult. And if you've got a national product that you want to sell in as many places as possible, it's important that you know where and when and how you can sell that product, because enforcement is real, as we've seen over the last couple of years. Retailers, manufacturers, distributors, whether it's criminal action, civil litigation, or regulatory enforcement, it's dangerous now to put a product in the market that is non-compliant. So my little gift to you is every month I like to do a compliance update on the biggest changes that I've seen in the last 30 days on a state-by-state basis. So as of March 13th, 2025, here are the biggest updates from the last 30 days. California, the governor issued an emergency ban last September, went into effect, I believe, September 24th, banning the sale of all hemp products inside the state of California containing any amount of THC. Fast forward, supposed to end this month. It has now been extended into June. So California stays the same, cannot sell any hemp products in the state of California. Interesting, there has been a carve-out, even though it is not reflected in the emergency regulation, for manufacturers. Lots of hemp manufacturers are still manufacturing in the state of California, or co-manufacturing, or distributing out of California, but they're not selling there. That's not in alignment with the regulation, but apparently that's the position that the Department of Public Health and Services is taking. So good for that. Georgia. I was so excited. Everybody was so excited. Georgia passed a regulatory framework that, yes, took a total THC stance, yes, got rid of flower and vapes, but still kept beverages and gummies. It was going to be, turn into one of the beverage hotspots of the U.S. Well, last week, the Georgia legislature had what's called a crossover day. It's a day when they make a big push to pass a bunch of things in the Senate and quickly cross them over into the House. There was a bill proposed to cap hemp products and hemp beverages specifically at 10 milligrams, right? Then it went to 5 milligrams. Then, at the last minute, a complete ban was offered on the floor and passed. So now, sitting in the House in Georgia is a horrible bill that bans all hemp beverages, caps all products at 10 mgs per serving, 150 mgs per container, which is fine. But basically, if this bill passes in its current form, the only thing that's going to be left legal in the state of Georgia is gummies, topicals, and tinctures. So that's really silly. But I will say that is the theme for the last 30 days. Remember we talked about in February that it was so far into 2025, the theme was like, it's going to be the year of hemp beverages. It's kill the synthetics, protect the beverages. Well, apparently the alcohol industry has decided that they're not going to go out silently, and they are going to fight tooth and nail anywhere they can against the proliferation of hemp beverages. Understandable. It's their margin, yada, yada. But guess what? Alcohol is dying. We all know it. Time to get on board. Stop trying to kill the hemp beverages. Public service announcement from Morgan. Okay, next, Kentucky tried to do the same thing. No surprise, the bourbon industry is obviously hugely hurting from the fact that people don't want to drink alcohol anymore. So there was a complete ban on hemp beverages proposed in Kentucky. Nothing else. They'll still allow you to sell all sorts of synthetics, all sorts of vape products, but they wanted to go after and completely ban hemp beverages. It was amended on the floor, and now there's just a cap at 5 milligrams with more regulations to come. So at least some beverages will be saved in the state of Kentucky. Montana HB 49 sets really restrictive THC caps. We've seen this one over and over again. It's a model that's been used by certain groups that are mostly supported by the regulated cannabis industry. 0.5 milligrams per serving, 2 milligrams per container. Super restrictive, bans all synthetic cannabinoids, and has a very broad definition of what a synthetic cannabinoid is. So if HB 49 passes, the Montana market's going to close drastically. It was proposed last year and has been moving slowly, so we'll see if it has legs this year. Missouri. Two, technically three competing bills, but two of them are pretty much the same. HB 696 and SB 518 are basically companion bills. Proposing new age restrictions, testing requirements, licensing rules, more in the vein of let's go with a regulatory framework that protects the consumer but still allows the market to exist. HB 393 goes beyond that and tries to protect hemp beverages by force them in to protect alcohol. Could be argued either way. But basically they're saying hemp beverages, we're going to allow them to exist, but they have to go through the same 3-tier system that alcohol does. We've seen that be the case in a lot of states. Some say it's a positive, some say it's a negative. Basically, it's going to be treated like alcohol. I'm fine with a 3-tier system. I think it leads into more monopolies, which we've seen in the alcohol space, which people are pretty anti. But if that's our pathway forward and that's the way to make people comfortable with these products only being sold to adults and this being treated like an adult use product, then so be it. However, HB 393 also imposes really low milligram caps for hemp beverages. So that's something that we hope will be stricken. Ohio's SB 86. We've talked about this briefly before. It continues to advance. At this point, it basically wants to put 99% of the hemp industry in through dispensaries, and restricting access and significantly increasing costs. Texas SB 3, the insane bill in Texas that would ban all hemp other than products containing CBD and CBG, has advanced out of committee and has yet to be amended. So we'll keep a close eye on that. Granted, as we talked about last month, it is one of like 20 plus bills that have been proposed in Texas, and I really don't see how they're going to justify shutting down a $100 million plus industry in the state of Texas. But hey, it's Texas. Who knows? Florida passed new administrative regulations banning the use of color additives in all hemp products. Now, it's a little bit inaccurate. It's not the ban of use of all color additives. There's a list of color additives that are artificial that are completely prohibited. There's a list of color additives that are natural, like spirulina, turmeric, fruit and vegetable juice. Those are allowed if they are used for flavor and the color they impart is incidental to the fact that they naturally have color. So if you're selling a hemp product that's a beverage or an edible or some type of consumable, most people are not dyeing their flower, and it has color in it, you need to take a look at this list and determine whether or not your product is now compliant in the state of Florida. Additionally, Florida has adopted the total THCA standard that they call their total Delta 9 standard, but it's the same thing as the total THC standard that we've talked about before, to all products. So hemp flower, hemp edibles, anything that contains hemp extract now all has to come under a total THC standard, which, remember, that means your Delta 9 concentration plus your THCA concentration times a formulation that reaches what's called the post-decarboxylation amount of THC. So again, take a look at your products. If you're selling them in Florida, this is being enforced. The Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services requires that anybody who sells a product in Florida whether it be a retailer or a wholesaler, has to have a permit through FDACS, or the Florida Department of Agriculture, to sell those products. So if you're an online retailer, if you are selling through a distributor, you need to be sure that your product is compliant with the new regulations. They've also added in some pretty hefty additions to attractive to children. It's a very, very broad definition now of what's attractive to children. Take a look at that. Make sure that your product is not labeled or bears any logos or colors that could arguably be attractive to children. North Carolina, my home state, who I am so very proud of, has issued SB 265, which is essentially the identical twin of HB 563, which we talked about at length last year many times. That is what a lot of us are touting to be the way that hemp should be regulated across the United States. It's got a definition of hemp and hemp products that allows the majority of the marketplace to continue to exist, while requiring that every part of the marketplace be licensed, manufacturers, distributors, and retailers of every kind. It identifies a regulatory agency that is a law enforcement arm that already exists, the Alcohol Law Enforcement Agency. It identifies penalties and age limitations, testing limitations. It codifies that high-performance liquid chromatography is the testing method for these products, which is very important. Labeling and packaging requirements, and sets reasonable milligram caps for products that are edible, products that are beverage, products that are vape. So we're all very excited about SB 265. It no longer has the medical cannabis bill attached to it. It is now a standalone bill. So we shall see if it makes its way through the North Carolina legislature this session. Everybody have your fingers crossed. That is your update from March 2025. I hope you found this helpful. If you have a state that you want to know more about, throw it in the chat. I'll do my best to address it next month. However, if you find that this is not enough for you, that you need something more that's specific to your product or to your company, we do offer a 50-state summary or a targeted summary based on your company and or your product offerings. Give us a call today. We'd be happy to talk to you about putting one of those together for you. See you next month.